it would have been 3 weeks Monday, but it's even more than that. But the next one's just like 12 days away or something.
I'd like to have 5 Saturdays instead
Yeah.
of Monday.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know if that ever happens. We've had 5 Fridays before. So yeah,
I don't know either.
Well, our little church down there in the country,
Colleen Evans has joined the meeting.
they have fifth Sunday dinners, but we haven't been doing them since we've had this coronavirus thing going. So I missed that
Hey, I guess
a week ago Sunday. Yeah.
I guess we did have 5 Saturdays in August.
Yeah, and 5 Sundays and 5 Mondays.
There you go.
It's crazy the way it fell.
Well, even in a pandemic, it goes too fast.
Right.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Amanda, for all your help.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'll get even with you someday.
It's my job. It's what I'm here to do.
Yeah. Well, we're close here. I've got 5:29.
Yeah, me too.
You ready, Amanda?
I am ready.
You're running the show there, boss.
All right. Well, I see 5:30 now. I'll call the meeting of the Board of Public Works and Safety on September the 9th, 2020. And we'll ask, first of all, for the roll call.
Mr. Rutherford?
Here.
Mr. Colvin?
Here.
Mr. Hoover? Let the record show he is absent, but we do have a quorum.
All right. And first item is the minutes for the regular session of August 17th. Does anyone have any corrections or additions to those?
I would move to approve the minutes of August 17th.
All right, I'll second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, same sign. I guess there is no same sign. And then we have 2 other sets of minutes. We have one for July the 6th. And there was just one addition there. It was an omission. No, that was the one with some typos.
Yes.
So do we have any, do we have a motion to approve?
Chad Oldham has joined
July
the meeting.
6th?
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No opposed. If, and then we have the minutes for July the 20th. And there is an amendment there to add Greenwood Business Center at the bottom of page 4. So with that correction, I'll move that we approve that those minutes for July the 20th. Have a second? Did you second that, Jeff?
Yeah, you motioned, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll second it.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. The first line of business I see here is future homeowners Mark and Kara Paris, the Reserve Rock Lane Ridge Section 2 for an easement encroachment request. So are you folks online? Or?
Yes, I am. Hi, hi everybody.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah. First off, thank you guys very much for the time and willingness to listen to our encroachment request. And my name is Mark Paris. My wife, Kara, and I, we're currently building a property at 264 Barrow Drive, Greenwood. It's at the Reserve of Rock Lane Ridge. It's a paired patio community. We are wanting to have a fence installed in our backyard. And we do know that we will be encroaching in the easement if we do so. So I've been working back through our homeowners association initially on the approval, and then they brought it to my attention that I need to come speak to you fine folks on the city of Greenwood to get a encroachment variance request. So started that process a couple weeks back, and I have sent out, I believe, 16 different letters, certified mail to all the different utility companies I want to say I've heard back from 4 or 5 of them. I've got them printed out. So far, none of the ones that's responded back has had any issues with us building in that area. So nothing from a utility or an easement standpoint. And then Paul Peony sent me an email here this morning. I've got a memorandum from Jeff Weaver, who it sounds like they're recommending approval as long as the board sees fit as well. So
Those
we
following conditions, did you see those conditions?
did fully understand. Yeah, that's we understand that we'd be taking on that liability in case there's any work that would need to be done. In the easement.
That's always the big one, is that second one, be responsible.
Yep, for sure.
Daniel, is there any problem with this, or you good with this?
No, this one is very straightforward. There are no drainage, underground drainage structures on this property.
All right, well, I'll move for approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. All right, and I guess you're up again here.
Yeah, I am. Yep. So the folks building on 266 Darrow Drive, Gary Benedict Sr. and Laura Sorella Benedict are our best friends. So I told them I'd represent their case. Same situation. We're looking to build the same kind of mirrored fence area in the backyard. It'll have, again, the same type of encroachment into the easement. Their lot is a little different because they do have the side yard as well, but we'll be staying well off of the side yard easement in this situation. And we're still behind the front line building setback of the home that would be to the west. So again, same situation here. Laura has heard back from a couple of utility companies as well. Again, nobody has showed any concern about us building an easement. And same thing, we received the same memorandum saying that the engineering division recommends the approval as well, given the stated conditions.
Okay, well, just make sure they know that that second condition is, should there be any need to get in there, you will be responsible. They will be responsible for putting back the fence.
Absolutely. I spoke with both Gary and Laura this morning, and they both are aware of the 3 conditions.
All right. Do you have any problem with this, Daniel?
Sir, this one's straightforward.
I would move to approve, subject to those conditions.
All right, I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Thank you, folks.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Final thing. So from a final approval, will I receive a letter from the city of Greenwood? Do I need to wait for the meeting minutes, or what's that normal process so I know?
Daniel? You want to answer that?
Right. So generally it's the next meeting.
Okay.
These would be approved, the meeting minutes from tonight, and then you'd be able to proceed.
Great. All right. Again, I appreciate everybody's time. I know you have full agenda. I will not keep any longer. Thanks everybody again, and have a good rest of your meeting.
Thank you.
All right. Thank
Right.
you, Mark.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.
And then we have Greg Messenger, HOA representative for Mayfield Court, Cobblestone Subdivision 1, requesting permission to plant trees within the public right-of-way. So are you here, Greg?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
So as you mentioned, I'm a member of the Cobblestone HOA board, and we have these little islands in our cul-de-sacs in phase 1 of our development that we have some basic landscaping planted. In the island in Mayfair Court, we had blue spruce trees in there previously, and those ended up dying. So we removed those blue spruce trees, and we wanted to replace those with something a little bit more appropriate for the space. And so what we're proposing is to replace those with 3 Autumn Brilliance Serviceberry. And so we've obtained a list of approved plantings, approved trees and shrubs for right-of-way areas, and Serviceberry is on that list. The cultivar we've selected, the Autumn Brilliance, is actually a little bit smaller than the cultivars on the list. So I don't anticipate there'll be any problems there. What we're also going to plan on doing is potentially adding a few decorative large stones just for aesthetic purposes in the island. And that's about it. There's existing daylilies
Has
and
joined the
mulch
meeting.
and some existing stones. We're not going to change any of that. So since it's in the public right away, just wanted to submit this for approval in this meeting here.
Greg, or Daniel, is there any problem with this?
Section 1 of Cobblestone was originally designed and approved while it was still part of Johnson County and then later annexed by the city. This court, and there's one additional court immediately to the north, they both have these little landscaped islands in the cul-de-sac. The other subsequent sections of Cobblestone, there's about 3 or 4 other cul-de-sacs. Those do not. They were later, that was after annexed by the city. So really as long as the residents are planning to plant, to follow that list of approved species, and it sounds like they've already got that list. That's a good thing, and then certainly that they continue to maintain it. The city's had sort of the policy, or maybe not the policy, but the approach for these type of landscape cul-de-sacs that if the residents around the cul-de-sacs are supportive of having the landscaping, the city will allow them to keep it since it is in the public right of way, or to continue to have that, continue to maintain it. But if the residents decided no, it would probably be taken out and then paved. We've done that a number of times in the last few years, but there are other cul-de-sacs that still have these landscape islands.
What do you think, Jeff?
I don't have a problem with it. Kenny, are you online?
Yes.
Do you have any issues with the boulders, the stones, the larger stones with the snowplow?
We shouldn't be plowing up in there, I don't think, as long as they're not out right at the edge. It shouldn't be an issue. And they seem to take care of their stuff in that addition. So I would anticipate the neighbors probably keeping the area looking nice myself.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
No, Shan, I don't have a
Chad
problem with it.
Oldham.
Has left the meeting.
I can make the motion if you're ready.
All right.
I would move to grant permission to plant the trees within the public right of way as presented.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Motion carries. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Appreciate your time.
All right. Police Department, the brand new chief, James Eisen. Are you with us, James?
I am. Good evening.
Good evening, and welcome to your new job here.
Thank you.
You have a Police Department Policy Manual Subscription Services with Lexipol Police.
Yeah, so we're asking for approval of a contract with Lexipol. Lexipol is sort of the gold standard in
Chad Oldham.
Has joined the meeting.
public safety. Public safety policy writing. And basically what they will do over the next 6 to 9 months, we will meet with them every week, right now via WebEx or Zoom. And they have a team of lawyers and policy writers that specialize in each state's specific laws and statutes. So we will go over their 175 policies that they have written for law enforcement, work with their professionals to tailor them to fit our agency. They will make sure that each policy, well, number one, that we have an adequate number of policies to cover the specific job tasks that our officers perform, that each policy is in accordance with state and federal law and best law enforcement practices. Once it's implemented and approved by the Board of Works, after the 6 to 9 month period, we will implement it, and then they will begin training our officers. So what they do is it's actually really neat. Every year you need a policy review to make sure every year in July the legislature updates laws. So policies have to be updated to go with those laws. And what they do is they send out pushes via social or electronic devices. So the officers will have apps on their phone, on their laptop, and on their desktop. So every time there's an update to a policy, they'll push it to the officer. The officer will read the policy, hit a button to acknowledge that they understand it, and that will go on their training record. So it will really just raise our professionalism and get us up to where we need to be with policy.
Any questions, comments?
I would move that we approve the request to contract with Lexipol.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Then you have resolution 20-08 for, we need to approve.
To sort of piggyback that, the very first policy that we're in need of revising is our the way we handle internal investigations. We've had a policy on the book since 1986. I don't believe it's been revised since then. And basically what we did was the original policy is pretty much a paragraph dictating what the policy is, but has very little details when it comes to the procedure for implementing and carrying out the internal investigation. So we put a detailed policy procedure together and are requesting that this be approved until we can get an official one written and approved by Lexipol.
Any questions, comments?
So, Chief, is this this is going to be a temporary policy?
Yes, for example, so the Reader's Digest version of this is we will appoint, or I will appoint as the chief, 3 members of the department, all of different ranks, preferably one with a firearms expertise and one with defensive tactics expertise, to review any gross misconduct by a member of the agency or any discharge which is not training related. And a few weeks ago, we had a firearms discharge. Officer had to discharge his firearm at a dog that was attacking him. So we are in need of reviewing that. And as we stand right now, we don't really have a means or within policy.
Okay.
Anyone else like to speak to this? Well, I would move that we approve resolution number 20-08 with Chief Eisen to sign.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Best wishes in your new position, new job.
Thank you very much.
I'll
Like
send
you're
you a
off the-
picture of myself for behind your head there. It looks a little bare back there.
Off. Don't listen to him.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate that.
All right, Rick Jones, IT department.
Good evening, gentlemen. Hopefully you received my 3 emails that I sent out late last week. I have 3 items on the agenda, and hopefully they'll all go pretty quickly. The first one has to do with a proposal by Tailored Systems to replace all of our existing door lock systems that we have in our buildings, basically to replace the back end portion of them in our IT closets with a system. We currently use Honeywell. We want to put in a new system by a company called Isonis. This would make them cloud-based. Instead of having the controllers in each building, they would operate from a database in the cloud. We already have Isonas
Gardner?
in the
Has left the meeting.
new Fire Station 93. It seems to be working well, and we're also installing it in the new DPW building. By doing this, it will save us money in the long run. From time to time, we have equipment failures now that we have to have tailored come in and replace modules or fix things in our IT closets. Those components won't exist anymore when we do this changeover. This would consist of several facilities that I've listed there in the email. The airport, city center, community center, Fire Station 94, fire headquarters, the Justice Center, the Police Training Center, Community Center Gym, and 3 dog parks, Four Paws Dog Park, Freedom Dog Park, and Westside Dog Park. The total amount for them to do this upgrade of all facilities would be $41,631.63. Spoke to finance about this. They think this is feasible to take this from CARES Act funding. And so this would be 100% funded by the CARES Act. City Legal has also prepared a contract for me, which I've attached to your email. So if this is approved, I would like to request the board's permission to have the mayor or deputy mayor sign off on any appropriate documentation.
Any questions or comments?
Yeah, Rick, I've got a question.
Okay.
You still maintain control of who accesses which building, though, right?
Yes, absolutely. We have an interface that lets us into the website, and we do securities by facility. And actually, it's kind of interesting because the database, after it's changed, is downloaded to each one of the readers. And so the database actually sets locally at the reader unless you're making a change. And so if the internet goes down, the database is still housed at the reader.
Okay.
Well, if there's no further questions or comments, anybody else?
I would move that we approve the contract with Tailored Systems.
With the mayor to sign.
Correct.
I'll
Has
second
joined the
that
meeting.
motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No one opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you. The second item I have is in regards to the replacement of aging iPads. I believe your iPads that you have are probably on that list. A lot of our iPads are 6 to 7 years old now, and we would like to purchase upgraded iPads from Verizon. The iPads we have now are from Verizon, and this would be much like if you were at the end of your agreement and were trading in your iPhone or your cell phone for a new upgrade. They give you an upgrade price instead of paying the full price. We're looking at a price of $359.99 each for the upgrades. These would be iPads that we use across many different departments in the city, but they're all IT assets. So that's why we're handling it for all the departments. There's 73 iPads in total for a total of $26,279.27. Again, after speaking with finance, they feel that this is an appropriate purchase from the CARES Act. And I spoke to City Legal about this. And since the pricing is on the state QPA, it is an upgrade through Verizon. They feel like as long as I have proper documentation as to what we're doing, that there's not an actual contract needed on this. So I'm just asking for the board's approval to proceed with this purchase.
I would move that we approve the purchase of the iPad.
I'll second the
upgrade.
motion. Any other comments or discussion? Do we turn these iPads in that we're using now?
We will, and chances are, because of their age, they will be going to auction.
Well, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you,
Last
Rick.
I-
Got one more.
The last item I have has to do with the purchase of 31 new HP laptops. The laptops that we've used when people had to work remotely from home during COVID are public safety laptops that have some age on them that we've removed from police and fire vehicles. So again, they're much like the iPads. They're reaching the end of their life. We have some issues with them from time to time. We would like to purchase 31 new laptops that will be used either by department heads or remote workers when necessary. These would be purchased from HP. The 31 laptops total $40,115.80. Again, finance feels like this is an appropriate purchase from the CARES Act. I have forwarded my quote from HP to the legal department, and they will provide or prepare a contract for this. So again, I'm requesting approval based on the review by the legal department and preparation of a contract for the mayor or the deputy mayor to sign.
All right, any questions about this? Not, I'll move for approval.
Second.
Mayor to sign. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, Rick, you've spent all your money now, so.
Thank you, gentlemen. That's all I have. I was kind of wondering why, when I first put my first item on the agenda, I was near the top, and then the brand new police chief jumped ahead of me. I'm not quite sure how that happened, but
He carries a gun.
evidently that must be it. Okay, I understand now.
All right, thanks. Good job.
Thank you.
Keep it up. All right, from the mayor's office, Molly Lott.
Good evening, everyone. I have a request for a noise waiver for an event that has occurred annually for at least the last 3 years that I know of. This takes place at the Gathering Place or around the Gathering Place, and they want to set up some speakers so they can talk to the racers, I guess. So I would request a noise waiver for the Boaz event.
Is this in the daytime or?
It is. It's on October 3rd at 9 a.m.
Okay,
It
I
should
see
be
that now.
Done by noon.
Well, I don't see any real close housing there. It will be affected, especially that time of day. So I would move for approval.
I'll second that.
Any questions or anybody want to speak against this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Thank you, Molly. Girl Scouts.
Yes, so we have a request from the Girl Scouts. They would like to set up a drive-through cookie sale at the city center lot on a Saturday from noon to 4 p.m. So the PNC Bank is closed at that time. And this has been reviewed by the deputy mayor, and he thinks it's fine. I need you to approve the event agreement and authorize the mayor to sign, if you please.
Any questions?
I would move that we approve the request.
I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Thank you, Molly.
Thank you.
Mr. Duncan, I presume.
Yeah, I come before the board tonight to see about getting authorization for the staff to prepare quotes, specifications, and seek approval to send out quotes to bidders for the 2020 pavement crack sealing project, $50,000 that is budgeted in our LRS budget.
All right, any questions, comments?
Yeah, I've got a question, Kenny. It may not relate to this one, but it might. Is that Worsville Road, number 4?
Yeah, but to be
Okay.
honest with you, I don't think we'll ever get there. We'll probably be out of the $50,000 before that, but I just went 4 deep there, knowing it's probably going to be gone. And then hopefully next year we can pick up wherever we left off and add to it. But 50,000 won't really go a long way. But I'm trying to stay on the main roads since they're the ones that seem to cost us the most money to replace.
Right. I think it's a good program. My question is on Worsville. I think I brought this up once before off of Sheik Road, just west of Sheik Road. There's a hump in the pavement
Yes,
that resulted from one of the utility companies bored the road. And do you know what the status is of getting that repaired?
they are supposed to have that scheduled to come out of there. Brock from CDS has talked to them, and if I remember right, it was REMC, and they bored under the road and caused that hump. And I was on it over the weekend. It seems like it might have got a little worse to me, but I can back out to Brock and say something again.
Yeah. If you can just remind him of that, because we're coming up on the end of the season, believe it or not.
I noticed that too. I'm glad you.
Yeah, all these
saying about it, but that's obvious.
super busy. We need to be on them. I'll check on that.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
So I would move that we approve the 2020 pavement crack sealing project as presented.
All right, I'll second that motion. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Okay, Paul Maurer, Calvert Farms. Are you with us, Paul? Anyone here representing Calvert Farms?
I saw Paul online a minute ago, so he's probably here.
He's there. He's just muted. He was on the picture.
Unmute yourself, Paul.
Paul Maurer, Calvert Farms. All right.
We'll come back to him.
Come back to that. The next one is the Dr. Hector Family Practice. Dr. Andrew Hector, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, thank you. Need acceptance of performance guarantees, execution, inspection of testing agreements, acceptance and execution of the final plat.
Correct.
Daniel, can you comment on this?
Sure. You all should have the memo in front of you, kind of listing out the different performance bonds associated with this project. Everything is in order. Final plat's been reviewed and approved by our division and the planning division. And so the motion there would be to accept performance guarantees for dirt work, storm sewer, erosion control, sanitary sewer, street and sidewalk improvements in the public right of way, signs and monuments, and to accept and execute the general and sanitary sewer inspection and testing agreements, ratify the acceptance of 50% upfront fees, and to accept and execute the final plat for this project.
So moved.
Second. Any other questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Paul,
Thanks.
are you with us?
Paul?
Can you hear me now?
Yes. We can hear you now, Paul. Calvert Farm, Section 4.
Thank you. Yes, we've just completed another section of Calvert Farms, which is out on the corner of Mullinex and Olive Branch Roads, and the sewers have passed all their tests, and we have the bonds in order. So we're just here to ask for the three items on the agenda: the acceptance of the improvements, the acceptance of the maintenance guarantees, and the acceptance and execution of the final plat.
We good with this, Daniel?
The memo that you'll have does show two conditions: receipt of a balance due and also receipt of Mylar and digital as-bills. I think we did receive those late today, so we just need to make sure that information is good to go.
Any other questions? I'll move for approval with those conditions met, we assume.
Second.
Any other questions, additions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, then John Mandabach, Kopetsky Auto Wash. Are you here, John? Do we know anything about this, Daniel?
This one's pretty straightforward as well. For the Kopetsky Auto Wash, you can see the graphic on the screen. Field inspection's been completed. Everything's in order. We've received the Mylars, digital as-built. Everything is in order. The O&M manual for water quality. So it is just to acknowledge the completion per the approved plans of the private improvements of dirt work, storm sewer erosion control, to accept the sidewalks installed along State Road 135, to accept 3-year maintenance guarantees for the sidewalks installed along State Road 135, to release the performance guarantees for the private dirt work, storm sewer erosion control, and the sidewalks installed along State Road 135. For this project, the one condition is payment of the balance due on the general inspection and testing agreement. And I think the petitioner has requested the invoice, so we'll get that to them so that that can be paid to the city.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes, John.
Yes, John.
Oh, sorry, I was having a little problem with my microphone. So.
You're not the only one. Well,
Daniel did a great job of summarizing. Thank you.
Okay, you heard that then.
Hey, I can't get in, so I'm sitting here in the parking lot online. So just wanted to tell you that.
So there was one condition that.
I'm still here. I'm just not inside. I tried to get inside.
Oh, okay.
But I'm online.
I think that's somebody else.
Huh?
That's not me.
Okay. I would move
that was not
we
John.
approve the Kopetsky Auto Wash subject to that condition that was set forth in the report.
All right, I'll second that. Any other questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, thank you. Then Westport Homes, Mark Bridwell.
Mark is not able to make it. I believe Keith Gilson and Eric Batt and myself are all three here.
Okay. So this is for the Fieldstone subdivision, acceptance of improvements, maintenance guarantees, performance guarantees, execution of final plat. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, Daniel, you have any comments on this or concerns?
Yeah, so in the memorandum before you, there are a number of motions, I guess, that are associated with this. There's also on the second page a number of conditions that are going to be very critical. We've been working with the developer on this to ensure that
Chad Odom
has left the meeting.
Remaining to be done will get done, per city specs, and by our review and approval out in the field before the final plat is released until all those conditions are met. I know we've had a number of meetings and emails, so my understanding is that the developer and their staff are aware. I know all of the city staff associated with this are aware of the various aspects and conditions as well.
So I'm not sure I understand you. There's some conditions that have not yet been met. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct. There's a number of items. If you have the memo open in front of you on the second page, a punch list items that city feels still needs to be wrapped up prior to release. But we were wanting to work with the developer in this situation to seek that conditional approval from the Board of Works regarding their final plat for the subdivision.
So they're still working on their punch list items, basically.
That is correct.
Yeah. Okay. I got it.
Hello, everyone. This is Keith Gelson with Stepworth and Associates. How's everybody doing today?
Good.
I think on that memorandum, there's probably something with the lane widths on there. And I'd like to address that with the board if I could, or try to.
Go ahead.
Is there a way to, well, so I guess stop 18, the lane widths on the striping plan were shown as 12 foot. In reality, so this was built per plan. They put in new curbs, they added a little extra pavement, they added 2 foot widening out there. But the dimensions on the plans were to the nearest foot. So these lanes ended up actually being like 11.7 foot wide, which in looking at that, it looked like it met the ordinance. And, you know, and on stop 18, we can't really shift that pavement anymore at all. There's an existing concrete swell there. There's existing sanitary. So we do provide, we provide a dedicated right turn lane, dedicated left turn lanes, and straight through lanes, all on stop 18. But these lanes are 11 and a half to 11.7 foot wide. So we'd like to request that this be accepted by the board, because it meets the ordinance. If you look at the Indiana Design Manual, actually your minimum lane width is 10 foot. These are right at 12 foot. They're just shy of it. And this pavement, it would require a tremendous amount of work just to move this curve, 1.5 feet or 2 feet, to gain 0.3 foot or 0.5 foot per lane. We'd respectfully request that the board approve it as 11.5 foot or 11.7 foot lanes on stop 18. And then going on to County Road 75 to address that one as well. I think there was some lane width issues over there as well. We added the 24-foot pavement on our side, and we put in a decel lane, A-cell lane, and a taper. But when you stripe these off, again, they end up being from the existing edge on the west side of County Road 75 to our new pavement that we added. You end up being 11.5 foot lanes, 11.7 foot lanes. This is very, very close to 12 foot lanes. We have, DR Horton, Westport has went ahead and widened all of County Road 75 along their frontage, 2 foot wide. They've milled and resurfaced the whole road, and I believe they've even patched the road in areas where it was marked up.
Yes, sir.
They have done, I think they've done a tremendous amount of work out there to make this right. We would just request that the board approve these lanes as is, instead of ripping out curb and moving stuff, and it's just a tremendous amount of work. And I feel like we meet the ordinance, or we meet the ordinance in the Indiana Design Manual. So I would just respectfully request that those lanes be approved as is.
Jeff, this is way more up your alley than mine.
Yeah, Daniel, do you want to address that issue as far as the ordinance goes? What's the ordinance require?
Certainly, I guess, per the letter of the ordinance, what Mr. Gilson has stated is correct. We do allow a range of lane widths from 11 foot to 12 foot. We've been having a number of discussions with the developer, their designer, about this for the last couple of weeks. This issue arose apparently maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, when the when the striping when the striping was installed on the roads. The problem was identified at that time, although I would have to defer to the developer to state when the the improvements along County Road 75 and on Stop 18 Road were actually installed. In terms of the lane widths on County Road 75, my field inspectors went out on the northbound side, the eastern half of County Road 75 east. The through lane is currently measured at 12 feet, which would be acceptable. And then the northbound turn lane is actually at 10 foot 4 inches. They went out with a measuring tape and measured that. The city's perspective is that the approved plans were at 12-foot lanes, and that assumes that certainly on County Road 75 East, that the center line would not be shifting, so that when the appropriate asphalt pavement width was added to the existing lane for their acceleration, or I'm sorry, their decel and acel lanes, that it would have been installed at the proper widths. They have approached us with their the issue, stating that it was some sort of a rounding error. But I do know that in the approved plans, it does say 12 foot, and that is our perspective on that aspect.
Okay. So 3/10 of a foot is basically what we're talking about.
Yes. And if they are, I don't know exactly what's striped out there, but if it is indeed striped wrong and needs to be fixed to be 11 foot or 11.5 foot, I don't know that D.R. Horton or we have a problem with that. But we would just respectfully request that the 11 point or 11.5 foot lanes be acceptable. So.
Okay. And is that measurement to the inside edge of the paint, or is that to the edge of pavement? Do you know?
They were to the edge of the, well, their dimension to the center line of the striping. And this gives, the 11.7 gives the 2 foot shoulder as well. Or 11.5, sorry.
Okay.
I'll defer to your
Mr.
opinion on this, Jeff, and Mr. Daniel.
Yeah, quite honestly, I mean, I understand both sides of this, but I think that, 0.3 of a foot is not going to drastically impede or have any effect on traffic safety or traffic flow on either one of those roads. So I would grant their request to maintain what they have out there at this point. If it was a foot, a couple feet, I'd have a different opinion, but 3/10 of a foot, just a few inches is not anything that I would be concerned with. So I would make the motion that we would approve the 11.7 foot.
Well, I just want to make sure, there's a few of them that are 11.5. So I just want to make sure 11.5.
Yeah, 11.5, same difference.
Okay.
That's fine. As far as the other items on the punch list, I think that it's appropriate to maintain those as conditions of approval. If you're ready for a motion on all of that,
All right,
Mr. Rutherford, I would be ready.
Can I ask for a clarification for the record?
Yes.
Well, Daniel, when you were speaking, you mentioned the northbound turn lane. Did you say 10.5 or 11.5 feet?
Yeah, I measured, or my field staff measured the northbound turn lane as it is striped now, or as it was striped last Friday, as a 10 foot 4 inches. That's the northbound turn lane on 75 East into the development.
Into the development. Okay.
And that would still need to include the 2 foot shoulder after that striping were corrected.
Right. And I think we can make them all 11.5 foot lanes. Obviously, if it's actually indeed 10.5 foot, we'd have to mill that off and restripe it. But we can make them 11.5 foot lanes.
Yeah. Okay.
Got any further questions or concerns?
Mine would just be for the 11.5 foot lanes, not the 10. So they'd have to correct that one. And then subject to the other conditions outlined in Paul Pione's report dated September 9th. But I would move for approval.
Well, I'll second that motion. Any other concerns, questions, comments?
Just so I'm clear, you're approving, anything has to be at least 11 and a half or more
Correct.
in measurement. Okay. I just want to make sure it's worded correctly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Okay, Southport Park Building 5, David Locke.
David Lash, yes, I'm here.
And you want acceptance of performance guarantees, execution of inspection testing agreement, acceptance and execution of subplat. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Daniel, your comment on this?
Correct. Just the one condition listed there. Everything else is in order. The one condition is receipt of a revised subplat, and I think that Paul has been in communication with David about that.
Yes, we received Paul's approval, so we just need to get the Mylar printed, and then we have to route it to our client's office that's up in South Bend. So as soon as we get that Mylar signed, we'll get it back to Greenwood.
Well, I'll move for approval on condition of that receipt and the Mylar prints.
Second.
Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Motion passed. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
And we go to Heritage Trace, Section 1, Beezer Homes, Chad Oldham.
Hello. Thank you for taking the time to address this. Beezer Homes is respectfully requesting the release of 3 performance bonds for erosion control, surface asphalt and tack, and street signs and monuments. And we have supplied the city of Greenwood with 3 replacement maintenance bonds to enable that release of those performance bonds.
Daniel, do you have any comment on this? That good?
Nope, this one is straightforward, no conditions.
Move for approval.
I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Thank you, Chad.
Thank you, folks.
All right, we have American Structure Point, Justin Olshuk. Sorry if I've messed your name up.
Hey, I'm used to that by now. It's a funky last name for sure.
How do you pronounce it?
It is Olashik.
Olashik.
So kind of how it looks, but little nuance to it. Good old Polish name. So I've heard every pronunciation under the sun.
All right. Well, tell us what you want here with an encroachment request.
So I am presenting on behalf of Scannell Properties. We are looking at a project here at the intersection of Commerce Parkway and Main Street. And the nature of our encroachment request is, I don't know if you have handy the exhibit we had sent over. I don't know if Paul had provided that.
Yes, we have it.
Perfect. So what we are proposing, in order to satisfy the city buffer requirements between the Otto's property at the northeast corner of the site, which is zone C1, and our proposed industrial zoning, we need to provide a level B landscape buffer between these property lines and our property. And the issue we run into is, as part of this project, we are relocating the existing detention basin to the east side of the site in that little notch out you see in that exhibit. And with that, we are dedicating a new drainage and utility easement, which will require some of the landscape plantings to be installed within that proposed drainage and utility easement. So in order to meet that level B landscape buffer requirement, we are requesting an encroachment on our proposed drainage and utility easements in order to make way for those plantings. One other item to note, there are two existing 20-foot drainage and utility easements. One is a strictly drainage and utility easement, and one is a sanitary sewer as well as drainage and utility easement, which circle this property. And currently there's only a sanitary main installed within one of the 20-foot easements. None of the other existing easements have any utilities installed within them. But as mentioned, we would not be proposing plantings within these existing easements. It would just be within our proposed easement around our detention basin.
Daniel, your comments?
Sure. So I guess for the acceptance of the performance guarantees and then the acceptance of the execution of inspection and testing agreements, everything is in order. Everything's been reviewed by legal and engineering. So we definitely we recommend the acceptance of those. And then for the encroachment request, I think you should have the memo in front of you as well from Jeff Weaver about that one. Very similar to the encroachment request that we get from private citizens for improvements at their own homes. That particular easement or encroachment request has 4 conditions is all.
You're familiar with those 4 conditions? Justin?
Yes.
You agree to those?
Yes, we can agree on behalf of Scannell.
All right.
You want to take these, separate them as far as motions, Shan?
Well, yeah, I'm a little bit confused about that, but I think you're right. So
we typically do that. I'll make the motion that we accept the performance guarantees and accept the execution of the inspection and testing agreements.
all right, I'll second that. All in favor, say aye.
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 And then
Any questions or comments? Motion's passed. Then the easement encroachment.
Yeah, I would move
request.
that we grant the easement request subject to the 4 conditions outlined in the staff report.
Second. Any further questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That passed as well. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
All right. I hate to bring this up, but is there anybody from
Has
the
left the
audience who'd like
meeting.
to say anything? I did have, seemed like I had another encroachment request from someone. Let's go ahead with the IDEM compliance plan status update. Are you here, Sam?
Yes, this is Sam Hodson. All's well with IDEM. The legal department has nothing to report concerning IDEM.
That's good.
Would you like to move to Corporation Counsel
Yes.
status of task?
Please do.
The first up is a consideration of the amendment to the professional service agreement with the law firm Taylor, Chad, Minette, Snyder, and Clutter. And the purpose for this amendment is so that when we do condemnations, we don't have to come to you for a new engagement letter for every condemnation. This is
Colleen Evans has left the meeting.
This is a firm that has low overhead, low hourly rates, and they've been an efficient firm for us to use on these condemnation matters.
Right. Any questions, comments?
I would move that we approve the agreement with the law firm for condemnation.
I'll second the motion. Any further questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Thank you. Sam, what's next?
We have teed up a general obligation bond And in order to do that, we need to have bond counsel. So next up is the consideration for the bond counsel engagement letter with the necessary city addendum with the Taft Law Firm under the same terms and conditions that the last several bonds that you've approved have been.
Anything else? Any other comments, additions? Well, if not, I'll move for approval.
Second.
The mayor to sign. Motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Thank you, Sam.
Next up is consideration of a CARES Act agreement with the Our Lady of Greenwood Church, which operates a food pantry, which is one of the things that we are allowed to use the CARES Act money for. This is one we'd like you'd also approve for the mayor to sign.
I would move we approve and authorize the mayor to sign.
I'll second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
Next up is consideration of outdoor lighting agreement with the Johnson County REMC. These are very typical agreements when a subdivision is made. The poles are installed by the developers, and then we have the obligation to maintain and pay for electric service on them. This one has already been signed. What we're requesting is you ratify the mayor's signature.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Thank you.
Next up involves the fuel farm site. This is moving very quickly, and in order to keep the construction moving, we had to get an environmental report from Aegis, which the mayor has signed, and we're seeking ratification of this agreement with Aegis Environmental.
I would move for approval.
I'll second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
Walk-on item is the Newsom Land Maintenance Agreement. This is not a big contract, but it's important because it involves keeping the land that the the RDC acquired that is adjacent to the Cummins property mowed so it doesn't become a nuisance or an eyesore.
I'll move for approval.
I'll move for approval on that.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
That's all I have. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Sam. Daniel?
Okay, first on Worsville Road, Section 2, I have two items. The first there is on screen. This is for your consideration, the approval of a drainage easement. You can see the small blue square. What that is going to be is a permanent drainage easement between the city and the Clark Pleasant Community School Corporation to allow the city to install a equalizer pipe. As part of our Worsville Road Section 2 project, a new detention pond will be constructed on the north side of Stones Crossing. It'll flow down to the existing pond next to Pleasant Crossing Elementary School. However, the current easement that's in place is really only a limited drainage easement for the purposes of maintaining and repairing the existing drainage pond. If for whatever reason the school corporation was not able to do it or failed to do it. So to install this particular pipe, we needed a new specific permanent drainage easement. This will actually go before the Clark Pleasant School Board at their regular meeting next week for their approval.
I would move that we approve the drainage easement with Clark Pleasant Community School Corporation.
That, anything else? Any additional questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
The next one also associated with Worsville Road Section 2, as you can see on screen. This is a revised Hoosier Energy encroachment agreement. Back in the June 3rd meeting, the board approved the original encroachment agreement. Since that time, it had to be revised to add in some language so that the city, the roundabout, could have decorative lighting in one location, actually within that easement area. We tried to design it so that that light pole wouldn't encroach. However, that sort of reduced the effects of having that light pole close to the roundabout. So the agreement was revised, and so the request is that you approve the revised encroachment agreement with Hoosier Energy related to this project, and also authorize the mayor to sign on the board's behalf.
So moved.
Second.
Any other comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passed. All right. What else you got, Daniel?
Next is the Greenwood Business Center. This is a parking lot expansion. They are having, at this site, they're having some, they've identified who their tenant is going to be. And so they've identified the need to expand it. You can see it there on the left side of the screen, kind of at the bottom half. It's very faint. The gray parking spaces, that is where the parking lot expansion will be. So right now we are working on requesting for the motion to accept and execute the general inspection and testing agreement and ratify the acceptance of the 50% upfront fee for this project.
So moved.
Second. Any other questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
All right. Next, this is there you go. Now you can see it on screen. This is actually an update on the Timber Valley Homeowners Association RIPRAP project. You may recall back at the July 7th, you may recall that we have discussed and have had representatives from the Homeowners Association present and approach the board a number of times since January of 2019 regarding their desire to improve the banks of their 2 detention ponds. You can see the 2 within their subdivision there. Initially, the board denied their request out of concern for protecting the pavement and the public right-of-way, the curb line, and also the sidewalks. Subsequent meetings, the HOA came back and said that they would be willing to use sheets of plywood underneath the riprap when it was stored or stockpiled in the street while they were working. There were some other considerations that we didn't want it left overnight, that type of thing. And eventually, there were other follow-ups of what type of bond would the city want to, what type of bond requirements would the city want to determine so that the HOA could provide that bond as a means to protect any potential damages to the public right-of-way. You might recall at the January 7th meeting, their HOA president appeared before the board requesting to move forward with this project using the plywood, providing the bonds to the city, and also providing some permission letters from adjacent property owners. That permission letter aspect, it has been clarified. It was really just for the property owners where the HOA's contractor would use as an access point from the stockpile to get into the pond area. And the board did approve the HOA to move forward, subject to terms and conditions approved by the deputy mayor and myself, the city engineer. There were a number of emails back and forth since that or after that meeting regarding the bond amount, the different components and aspects of how to calculate the bond amount. But I think it's important to note that no formal or informal approval or notice to proceed was given by the city to the HOA at any time. On Friday, August 28th, just a little over a week and a half ago or so, stormwater superintendent happened to drive through the subdivision and notice that the HOA's contractor was indeed working on installing the riprap around on the banks of the two detention ponds. I had identified that the south pond there had already been completed. The north pond was probably 75% complete or so. The deputy mayor, myself, and one of the street department supervisors were on site pretty soon. And observed that the HOA's contractor was not using plywood underneath the stockpile of riprap on the street. And so the city staff, we issued a stop work order. There's been a number of emails since that time, again, clarifying what requirements would be necessary for the stop work order to be lifted. That included the necessary bond amounts or the bond to be provided to the city. The permission letters, again, clarifying that it was just those locations that were used to access the pond. And then also that no work would be allowed to begin without city staff first confirming that the plywood was being used to protect the city streets. I know that I really just wanted to provide you an update on all these events, I guess, is the best way to say it, since the HOA appeared before you just not maybe 2 months ago on July 7th.
So were the streets damaged at all, or could you tell?
We haven't had that discussion yet. I know that the street department supervisor, he took a number of photos of the pavement, of the curb, but we haven't had that discussion quite yet to really assess.
I never would have voted for this if I knew that they were going to do this. That their disregard for our conditions of approval is beyond me. Thank you for noticing that. I'm glad we had staff that went through there to check that and issuing the stop work order. I'm very concerned about the damage to the street.
They have a bond. Did they have a bond?
Well, they haven't provided the bond yet, apparently.
Nope.
So
yeah, no bond was provided.
You know, I would encourage staff to look into, do we have the ability to find them, or whatever we have to do? And potentially, I think that the HOA president should come back before this board and explain himself on why they proceeded without following the rules that we set forth for them. We granted an exception for them to place this stuff on public streets, and they've just ignored it. So that's a major issue. I have a major issue with that.
I do too. But
So,
there is a bond now, you say?
No, there was no bond provided to the city.
Oh, okay. I'm misunderstood. Well, I agree with you, Jeff, that it's inexcusable. Maybe they figure it's easier to ask forgiveness than permission.
Well, they're going to find that that's probably not going to be too easy right now.
I hope so. I hope so.
So
Well,
thank you, Daniel, for bringing that to our attention. If you could
Yes.
follow up with the HOA president, and I'd love to see his face at the next meeting to explain why they did what they did.
Part of the problem, of course, are these HOA associations. And, you know, I live in a HOA community, and sometimes people just, they don't even want to do it and end up serving anyway. And
Yeah.
heart's not really in it. It's, not
Well,
terribly surprising.
I remember this gentleman coming in, and he was adamant that they would follow the rules.
Yeah.
And, he came in not only once, several times before this board, and we relented and gave him permission, and it's just a slap in the face, I think. So that's not a good situation.
Board members, it's Terry McLaughlin. If I could add to this just a little bit more, this is the part with the Board of Works, but stormwater, this is the same homeowner association that came in for a public-private partnership to Chris Jones and his board, and the Stormwater Board did grant that. And so I know that Chris had put time and effort trying to get the agreement signed, and when it come time to do it, then the HOA president refused to sign the agreement. He didn't think it was fair. And so at that point in time, he was notified by Mr. Jones that there was no longer an agreement then with the city of Greenwood, period, on this because of the requirements of the Stormwater Board. So the day that we went down on that Friday, I know that the firm that was doing the work had told me that the HOA president told him just to go ahead and do it, that they weren't going to take the city's money so they could go ahead and complete this, which was, inaccurate. I'll be as nice as I can, totally inaccurate. So from that, pretty disheartening. I'm sure that this falls upon the HOA president, not the residents in there. I don't feel, they're a lot of good people, and just like the ends don't justify the means for the things that were done. So we'll take a look at those other variables within this project and see. But I was hoping that Mr. Slater would show up to explain to the board, to your board, what his interpretation of the rules were. But I've not heard, he's wanting to get this project done, but we have not heard anything. He tries to reach out to get us to go ahead and let him do it. But when we tell him what the plan is and everything else that he has to do to get this done, then we don't hear from him again until the next go around, where he feels that time is of the essence.
So we just ignored it. So while we're on this the slide over to the right, that Southern Pines deal, there's a swimming pool. It's on Averett. It's on the west side of Averett. It's just north of where this map shows. But that swimming pool, it's right up in there. That swimming pool has not been used in probably 5 years. It's got a little water in it, not much, but it's dirty. And of course, that's another homeowner situation. And I don't. That kind of concerns me a little bit.
Sure. We'll have staff go out and check and make sure that that it's in compliance and there's no type of mosquitoes or anything else that's doing there, and have them take a look and see if there's anything in there, if they got the proper fencing and stuff around it as well.
Well, it is fenced and it doesn't look terrible, but just seems kind of silly have an empty pool sitting there year after year.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Daniel and Terry both.
I think he's got 2 more items there, the south.
Yep.
Text.
I do too, and these two are really quick. These are both O&M manuals for water quality. The first is related to the South Tech Park Building 4. You can see it highlighted there on screen, and so the motion would be to authorize the mayor or deputy mayor to sign on the board's behalf O&M manual for water quality so that it could be recorded by the developer at Johnson County Recorder's Office for this project.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed.
And then my last item is exact same thing, just at an adjacent building, South Tech Park Building number 5, and also to authorize the mayor, deputy mayor to sign on the board's behalf the O&M manual for water quality so that it can be recorded for this project.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Daniel.
You're a good man, Daniel. Thanks for helping me out here tonight. Controller.
Okay, I have one item for you. Similar to what Sam had with Taft, this is an agreement with London Witty for work on as financial advisor on some proposed general obligation bonds that we are looking at doing, and I could get that approved by the board, please.
Any comments, questions, thoughts on this?
Looks in order to me.
Legal's reviewed the London and Whitty agreement, and it's fine with us.
All right.
Thank you, Sam. I'll move for approval.
I'll second that. Any other questions, thoughts? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
All right, and one other item, I did want to confirm that you both received the budgets for sanitation and waste management for next meeting.
Yes, I did. Thank you. Anything else?
Roll for me.
Well, I'll move for approval of the claims.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Well, I will call this meeting at a final end, adjournment at 6:49 p.m.
Okay, thanks. Shan, I'll give you a call here in a few minutes.
All right.